Hey there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So it's officially game day. Stella Blade releases the PS5 exclusive, but there's a lot of fan discourse, controversy going on online regarding censorship and alteration of content within the game. So in this video, it's going to have two parts. In the first part, we're going to jump into this article here. We're going to talk about content being altered, and then in the second part, we're going to hop over to Twitter and see what the online community is saying in regards to this altered content. So this article comes to us from Comic Flick News. Costumes and graffiti art censored after developer Shift Up promises Stella Blade will release uncensored. In overwriting the promise made by developer Shift Up that the highly anticipated action title would release completely uncensored, Sony has announced that they will be patching out a piece of graffiti found in Stella Blade due to an absolutely reaching accusation from IGN that the in-game artwork could be read as a reference to a racial slur. So to put this in context, we're going to check out that graffiti that was changed, altered, and sort of patched within the game. We'll check it out down below. We have some pictures that will put it into a better context for you guys. So on April 21st, Shift Up confirmed an uncensored release of Stella Blade. The announcement came via the game's official Twitter account, stating in both English and Japanese that Stella Blade offers the same uncensored version in all countries, including the Japanese version. So below here from the official Stella Blade account, Stella Blade offers the same uncensored version in all countries, including the Japanese version. And then obviously they have this picture here, uncensored all countries. So they made a promise to their fan base, their player base, the people that pre-ordered the copies for this game, that the game would remain in its uncensored format. Nothing would be changed. It wouldn't be censored, altered in any way, shape or form. Obviously that was a lie. The game has now came out and certain pieces of content have been altered, changed, or kind of censored to some degree, and players are really not happy. This is almost kind of lying to get people to buy your game in a way, whether they kind of sincerely meant this when they put the post out. But now the fact that it's been changed, people feel that the publishers have kind of let the player base down by making this promise just to go back on their promise. But let's keep reading and see what we can find out about this altered content. So despite the enthusiastic reception from Stella Blade's fanbase, following Shift Up's announcement of uncensored release, a single complaint from IGN prompted Sony, the game's publisher, to retract the guarantee. So it wasn't actually Shift Up the publisher, it was Sony. Who kind of pressured them to go back and change the content. So IGN's review highlighted a large graffiti piece in the game reading hard next to a glowing neon R sign near a meetup location for an NPC named Roxanne. IGN interpreted this as a reference to the hard R version of the N-word racial slur, leading to Sony's decision to nullify the uncensored promise. Yeah, so here we have this picture here where there's a piece of graffiti on the side of this shop where it says hard, and then there's a neon sign that has R there. I didn't even know this was a racial slur. I'd literally never even heard of it, but apparently hard R means the N-word, like the racial slur. I'm sure you can gather what I mean from the N-word. I'm not going to say it because that will get me demonetized. But yeah, so apparently this is a racial slur, which I had no idea about. And they've been pressured to go in and change it, and the publishers went back and patched it out and changed the graffiti, which we have a changed version down below. So when IGN raised the issue directly with Sony rather than Shift Up, a company representative responded acknowledging that the placement of the two graphics in Stella Blade resulted in an unintentionally objectable phrase. Shift Up had no intention of creating offensive artwork, and they committed to replacing the graffiti in day one patch. Yeah, so it's just a major coincidence, the fact that this hard and this R are pushed together, and it could be interpreted as a racial slur. They had no intention of making this phrase on purpose. It was probably just a coincidence that this happened, but obviously everything that's going on in the West at the moment, everything has to be politically correct. If something could be deemed as even slightly offensive, it has to be patched out, has to be altered, has to be changed. And it looks like the developers were pressured into changing it from Sony themselves. So when pressed further about whether these efforts would extend to removing the graphic from the game's physical release, considering that those copies would have been printed with the original version of the game's code, the representative reiterated that the graffiti should be removed for all users in a day one update. Yeah, so they released a patch and they basically patched out the graffiti, this one above here where it says hard R, and they've replaced it with one down below, which we'll look at in a sec. So fulfilling their commitment, Sony has rolled out a patch for Stella Blade. Kotaku reports the post-patch The graffiti now reads crime instead of hard. So this is the updated graffiti on the side of the shop here. So instead of it saying hard R, it says crime in blue. And obviously they've just completely altered that graffiti out, because some people could interpret it as a racial slur, although I don't think anybody was going to interpret it that way whatsoever. And again, it's just over kind of censorship, over kind of political correctness. And, you know, nothing can be used in any content now if it's even remotely offensive or could be deemed as offensive. But yeah, kind of crazy stuff. So that's kind of the issue that happened with altering the graffiti content within the game. Then as we go down here, we have costume alteration examples. So as you can see here, unpatched disc. So this is what Eve's kind of, you know, body swimsuit costume would look like here. Obviously showing off a bit of the cleavage there. But as you see here, the patched default version, they've kind of added in a bit of cloth here in between the costume to kind of cover up her chest even more. So you can see here clearly that they have patched or changed or altered, whichever word you want to use, the costume here, where it's covering up her chest more than what the original version did. So they've altered the graffiti, and they're beginning to alter the costumes as well. And we have the variant here down as well, which is also covering up the chest even more. And as we go down, we have more examples of this as well. So you can see here, we have the ocean-made costume. If you look at the icon above here, it shows that clearly on the side of the costume, there would be skin showing on the side of the costume. As you can see either side here, there's obviously kind of open sections of the costume on the side that would kind of show the side of the stomach and the hips. But as you can see in the actual picture themselves, they've added in material that clearly covers up the side of her kind of side of her stomach and her hips here. So they've added more material to the costume again. Another costume, another example to kind of alter and kind of cover up her body even more. We have another example. So here we've got the Blue Monsoon costume. As you can see, it looks like just a straight up bikini here on the side, on the icon. But as you can see here, they've added in extra kind of material again, kind of going around the bottom of her stomach, on her hips, and then kind of under her chest here, to cover up even more of the skin sort of below the chest and above the kind of, above her pelvis, if you like. So, yeah. No, for me, more bot post, blah, blah, blah. Sony decided needed covering up. I would honestly dislike the censorship less if it wasn't so fucking lazy. Yeah, so it's clearly, they're clearly covering up the costumes, adding more material, and kind of covering the skin a little bit more. We have a Twitter post here. So what you're saying is Stella Blade was officially falsely advertised by Shift Up, as it won't be censored in any region, and people may have brought this under that premise. So that's a lawsuit. Yeah, absolutely. So they falsely advertised the game. They went back on their promise to uncensor the game. They clearly put out that post. They clearly knew that adding that post would get more pre-orders, get more people interested. The fact that the game wouldn't be censored, and then people pre-ordered and purchased the game with their hard-earned money under that premise. And the fact that they went back on their promise and they ended up censoring the content, that could be a lawsuit. Someone could open them up to a lawsuit. And it'll be interesting to see if someone does actually proceed with a lawsuit. Not that they would get anywhere because, you know, gaming developers have all the money in the world for lawyers and whatever. So what are your thoughts on Sony's decision to patch out the graffiti and censored costumes of Stella Blade? Do you believe it was necessary, or do you think it was an overreaction? Obviously, Stella Blade, PS5 exclusive, which comes out today. So like I said, officially game day. But guys, we're going to go on to our second part of this video. So we're going to hop over to X or Twitter, whichever you prefer to call it. Let's go. So there's so many posts here talking about censorship, and not just the costumes and graffiti. Literally within the last hour, couple of hours, the blood in the game is also being censored and kind of detuned to make it less gory, which I had no idea about until I opened up Twitter about half an hour ago. So if we have a look at this first post here, this comes from Gadwin. So Stella Blade censorship, gore has been censored too. So let's have a look at this. So you can clearly see here, there's obviously a lot of blood that's coming out of this creature here. And then we see Eve here in the foreground, and you can clearly see that her costume is covered in a lot of blood. But if we go over to the version on the right, again, there's a lot of blood behind her. But if you have a look at her costume now, there's virtually no blood covering the costume whatsoever. So is this a case of a mistake to some degree? Did the blood mechanic not work, or did they actually detune the blood and make it kind of less gory? It'd be interesting to see what happened here. So let's go down and see what other posts there are. So looks like Stella Blade Day 1 patch also censored gore. They lowered the game rating to R17 in the patch, so that explains it. So let's go on here. Are folks really noticing less gore after day 1 patch? The suit dilemma is minuscule because there's so many to choose from, but less gore, that's bullshit. Yeah, there's a lot less blood splatter. Only reasons I'm downloading the day 1 patch is so that I can get New Game Plus and the better input. Yeah, so that's 3 different things. So we've got the graffiti that's been altered, we've got costumes that are being added material to be altered, and we're getting less gore and less blood as well by the look of it now, which is kind of crazy. But it makes me think, if they're altering those 3 major things, are they going to be altering anything else? Is there anything else in the next few days that people are going to notice that's being altered or censored when it comes to the game? We'll have to find out. But let's keep going down and having a look at a few more posts and see if anything else comes to light. So let's have a look. Let's keep going. So again, we've got that another post. It looks like Stella Blade may have censored the blood splatter as well. This is so fucking disappointing. How stupid must they think we are that they could promise no censorship and we wouldn't notice all of this? So there's a lot of people that are picking up on this, picking up on the fact that the blood has been censored. Again, we have a post down here. I'm getting ready to pick up my physical copy of Stella Blade when I see people talking about it being censored. Look, I warned you that this could happen. You know how aggressive and vile these activists are, and I told you to buy a physical copy of the game. So let's go and have a look. So again, we've got the 2 graffiti side by side, a bit of a comparison there. Obviously, it said hard on the left, and then it says crime on the right. Again, we have the costume here. You can see, obviously, there's a bit more sort of cleavage on her chest here, whereas here is a bit more covered up. Then we have the alteration of the 2 costumes that we discussed in the video as well. And if we look over here on the right, this costume has been altered as well. Here, obviously, there would be a bit more visible on her chest, as you can see in the screenshot, and they've added material into the costume as well there. So, plenty of censorship going on. Let's keep going down. So, they censored it. Yeah, as you can see, so normally this part here around the chest, it would be completely visible through these sort of slots here on the costume. But as you can see, there's like white cloth material behind now, kind of covering up her chest. So changing stuff at some point between start of development and end of development isn't necessarily censorship. It was something patched after release. Then perhaps, but no, this is jumping the gun and muddying the waters for when the actual censorship happens. I would say this is more stylistic choice than actual censorship. It may actually be censorship. This one seems to be one of the trailers, but different color. So there's people saying it could be a stylistic choice, the fact that developers changed this. But, you know, why would you put it out in the first place only to change it? I mean, it does strike of censorship to me. Maybe people see it in different ways, but... So let's keep going down and just see if there's any more censorship. So we have another post here. Again, release version, trailer version, showing that clearly there's more skin available. And again, there's people taking screenshots here. You can see here from the video, obviously her chest is showing a lot more, whereas here there's more material covering up. Again, another example of a costume being altered. And so it said that there was no censorship, but Sony censored a couple of outfits. This is wrong, and we should complain, of course. But the game maintains jiggle physics. The female characteristics are still attractive, and there are revealing outfits. Don't be fags. Yeah, I mean, to a point, he is completely right. Even though these costumes have had a bit of material added to them, and people could deem that as censorship. I mean, these costumes, I mean, just looking at this picture here, I mean, these costumes are still quite skimpy and quite revealing. So I wouldn't be too downtrodden by this. And at least the game mechanics haven't been altered to any degree. But I do understand the fact they put out that post saying they wouldn't censor content, and now they have. So I understand why people are sort of a bit annoyed and angry about it. Has Sony censored the hard R wall in Stella Blade? Yes. Should they have done that? 100% no. Do games journos want you to boycott it now because of censorship? 100% yes. Why? Because the game is good and Eve is based off a real woman's body. They want to use censorship against you to make the game fail. So a lot of this guy is saying that basically they want people to revolt against this game because Western outlets don't like the fact that this game is based on a real female model. And obviously Western outlets don't like attractive women in games. So yeah, guys, but we'll kind of leave it there. That's a good kind of sample of what's going on. The blood has also been altered. It looks like it's been downplayed. The gore has kind of been turned down a little bit. So costumes are being censored. The graffiti's been censored. The gore has been turned down. So there's plenty of reasons here for Twitter to obviously explode and go crazy like it always does. But guys, what do you think about this? Do you think people are justified in being angry with the fact that they feel like they've been lied to about the censorship of this game? Or do you think it's a big sort of do about nothing. The game mechanics are the same. The costumes are still pretty revealing in my opinion. But yeah, what do you think about this? Jump into the comment section, guys. Let me know what you think about what's going on with Stella Blade. Have you played it? Are you enjoying it? Are you refunding your money because of this? Whatever's going on, guys, let me know in the comment section. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. And if you do enjoy my content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one.